Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're getting into something that's moving incredibly fast. I'm talking about the integration of AI into the legal world.
Right.
We've got a pile of research here, and our main source is all about the human-AI handoff. Specifically, these best practices for what they're calling the last-mile lawyer review. And, AI is already here. It's managing huge amounts of data. It's a research assistant. It's drafting documents, even doing predictive analytics. This isn't science fiction anymore.
Not at all. It's daily practice for a lot of firms, but that's what creates this new critical challenge.
Okay, so what's the mission for this deep dive?
Our mission is to really zero in on that final step, the last mile review. This is the moment where a human lawyer has to step in, and not just to, rubber stamp it.
Right, not just to approve.
To fundamentally validate what the AI has produced, we need to figure out how to get all the efficiency benefits of AI without accidentally creating new massive risks.
So it's about optimizing that human-AI collaboration.
Exactly, but that's the whole game right now, responsible innovation.
Okay, so let's start there. Let's map out the landscape. Where is AI really helping lawyers right now? And maybe more importantly, where does it just stop? Where are the hard limits?
Yeah.
I mean, the research is pretty clear that AI is streamlining workflows in a big way. We're seeing these really sophisticated tools for contract analysis.
They can spot specific clauses, potential conflicts.
Right, or e-discovery platforms that scan just a mind-boggling number of documents in minutes, looking for patterns, finding precedents. It's instant leverage.
And the main benefit there, it's really about velocity and scale. An AI can do that high-volume, repetitive work, reviewing documents for consistency, pulling key terms.
And grunt work.
All the grunt work, yes. It does it at a scale a human team just can't. It's not even close. And that frees up the lawyer to focus on, actual strategy and client counseling.
Okay, but this is where it gets really interesting for me. We have to talk about the limitation. The fundamental can't get around it limitation. Even with the best AI, what are the common ways it just falls short?
Well, it all comes down to its programming. It relies on historical data. It's fantastic at recognizing patterns from the past.
Okay.
But it's terrible at what you might call strategic novelty, true invention.
So give me an example.
Sure. An AI could draft a clause based on, say, 50 successful contracts it's seen before, but it's going to fail completely when a new business deal requires a structure that has never existed. It can't invent.
And it lacks judgment.
It lacks any sense of ethical judgment or the emotional intelligence you need for a complex negotiation. It can't read the room.
So the machine gives you the analysis, but the human has to provide the judgment. It seems the bottom line is still the final sign-off, the accountability, has to stay with the licensed lawyer.
That is non-negotiable. It has to be. If you think about it in terms of, fiduciary duty, a lawyer simply cannot delegate their core responsibility to a machine.
So the output is AI-assisted.
But the consequences of a mistake are 100% human.
Okay, let's really unpack this idea of the last mile review. How do we define that? I mean, it's got to be more than just checking the work, right?
Oh, absolutely. The last mile review is the final systematic checkpoint. It's the checking, the validating, and the approving of AI-generated content before it goes out into the real world.
Whether it's a filing, a contract,
or advice you give to a client. And it's so essential for risk reduction because the lawyer is the one ensuring the output is accurate, it's ethically sound, legally valid.
And aligned with what the client actually needs.
Exactly. Aligned with the firm's goals and the client's best interest. The AI doesn't know any of that.
So what the AI lacks, it really seems to boil down to context, nuance. Can you break that down? What kind of contextual awareness is missing?
It's multi-layered, really. First, there's regulatory context. An AI might miss the subtle differences in, say, state law versus federal law. Second, there's strategic context. The AI doesn't know your client is secretly planning an acquisition in 6 months that makes a clause that looks good today a disaster down the road.
And the third.
The third, and this is the trickiest one, is intent. AI is really bad at interpreting complex human intent, the things that aren't written down but define the whole spirit of an agreement.
Wow.
And this means lawyers need a whole new mindset.
They're not just reviewers anymore.
No, they have to become active, almost algorithmic auditors. They have to know the limits of the tool they're using. What was its training data? What's its confidence score on this output? Where is it most likely to be wrong?
So you're not just looking for typos. You're looking for algorithmic blind spots.
You are hunting for blind spots. It completely reframes the job.
Okay, so since this deep dive is all about that roadmap, let's pivot to the really practical advice from the sources. You mentioned 5 key pillars for making this hybrid model work.
Yes, these are the pillars that really form a practical guide for getting high-quality, low-risk results.
Let's take the first one. Emphasizing human judgment. It sounds obvious, but what does active engagement actually look like in practice?
Active engagement is so much more than a quick read-through. It means you have to be trained to question the output.
So if the AI says, here are 5 relevant cases,
The lawyer's job is to ask, okay, but which of these 5 will be most persuasive to this specific judge in this current political climate? That's judgment. You have to rigorously check everything against precedent, ethical standards, and the client's ultimate goal.
and that requires specific training on the tech itself.
Continuous training, not just on the software's features, but on its limitations.
Which brings us right to the second pillar. Viewing AI as a tool, not a replacement. How do you draw that line clearly between what the AI does and what the human does?
You see it as a collaborative enhancement. The AI does the heavy lifting, right? The massive data review, the pre-screening for risks, pulling out key terms,
The first pass.
the first, second, and third pass. But the lawyer holds on to the final decision-making because they have the depth to handle the exceptions, the anomalies, and the strategic insight to actually deploy that information effectively. It's a partnership.
Okay, pillar 3, maintaining ethical oversight. This is where the risks get very real, especially with client data.
Extremely tangible.
The sensitivity of client data is everything. So what are the specific challenges here that lawyers need to be watching?
Well, ethical breaches are a huge concern, a constant concern, especially because these AI systems often run on cloud infrastructure, processing incredibly sensitive information.
So you have to be vigilant about access.
Incredibly vigilant. It means strict conflict of interest checks. It means rigid adherence to data protection laws like GDPR,
Oh, yeah.
which gets really complex when you're talking about how these huge distributed AI models store and process data. The lawyer, at the end of the day, is the guardian of that data's integrity.
Okay, now the process pillar, number 4. Implementing iterative feedback loops. This sounds like a way to continuously improve the system. But I have to ask, are we just asking expensive lawyers to do free training for the AI vendors?
That's a really sharp and important question, but the goal of the feedback loop is actually to protect your own firm and your future clients, not just to train the machine.
How so?
When a lawyer overrides an AI's suggestion, maybe they flag a clause that AI said was fine, that decision gets logged. That log allows the firm to track the tool's effectiveness.
Ah, so you can see where it consistently gets things wrong.
Precisely. Over time, that improves accuracy for everyone at the firm and minimizes systemic errors. Every human review becomes a risk mitigation tool for the next case.
That makes sense. And finally, number 5, which is all about accountability. Clear documentation and audit trails. This seems vital for just trusting the technology at all.
It's absolutely fundamental. For transparency, sure, but more importantly, for legal accountability. Every single AI-generated recommendation needs to be documented.
And the audit trail has to show more than just the final answer.
It has to show the how. How is this conclusion reached? If the AI gave a risk score, the trail needs to trace it back. What data did it use? What was its confidence level? Did a human override it?
Because without
Without that traceability, the work is simply not auditable, and the risk becomes completely unmanageable.
Okay, so let's unpack what this all means for the lawyer of the future. The role isn't going away, clearly, but it is changing radically. What does that new job description look like?
The lawyer of tomorrow needs a different kind of literacy. It's a technological literacy. They're becoming experts in things like prompt engineering.
Knowing how to ask the machine the right questions.
Exactly. How to ask the most precise, high-leverage questions to get back something truly useful. They need to be risk assessors, spotting algorithmic bias, and they need to be expert client educators.
So your value shifts. You're not the walking encyclopedia of the law anymore.
You're the expert conductor of these incredibly powerful intelligence tools. That's the new value.
And that role of conductor, that oversight, it extends directly to the client relationship, right? To maintaining their trust.
Transparency here is just non-negotiable. A lawyer has an ethical duty to educate their client.
You have to be upfront about using AI.
You have to be upfront. Talk about the benefits, the speed, the cost savings, but also be candid about the risks, the potential for error. And you have to emphasize that the lawyer's judgment is still the final essential backstop.
That transparency is what builds the trust.
It reinforces the lawyer's value as the final arbiter of judgment and ethics.
So to pull this all together.
To synthesize it all, yeah.
Yeah.
The future of law really depends on building a strong human AI partnership. And by following these 5 pillars for that last mile review, firms can move to a hybrid model that delivers higher quality work, is way more efficient, and critically has a lower risk profile.
So through this careful integration, AI makes the lawyer better. It helps them deliver services that are more precise, more efficient, and ethically sound. And in a way, the tech forces a level of diligence that helps the client. But here's the thought I'm left with. What stands out to you about the true cost of this? If an AI is giving actual strategic advice, not just drafting a document, and the human lawyer validates it, is that human handoff really enough to protect the firm from algorithmic malpractice if that advice causes a catastrophic loss for the client? It feels like it completely changes the conversation around professional liability.